was playing my face, and then yes.
It happens.
I think it's
It's not, but it's gonna hurt.
I know. He did it like before you came.
I know. If you're shopping for light-duty diesel truck parts, then check out thoroughbreddiesel.com. Here at thoroughbreddiesel.com. Here at thoroughbred. Testing 1 2 3. 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 Okay. Set that over here. Get that out of the way. Okay, well, let's start working on a car for a little bit. Grab the battery. Set that guy aside. That's good. That's good. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Welcome joining in. Doing a little bit of a live random feed today. Gonna work on probably the sprint car and the midget. I need to get some numbers made for the tail tanks for both cars. I got to finish decaling the sprint car. Just basically random stuff that I keep neglecting to get fixed and get finished. So that's kind of what we're doing today. So if you have any questions, you want to chat, anything, random subjects, it don't matter what it is. I'm all for chatting away. If you bear with me, so if you chat and ask a message or like a question, give it like a 60 seconds or so before I will respond, because there's a delay by the time you type it and by the time I read it. I will do my best to keep up with chat. I typically don't get a ton of viewers, so I may or may not see it in a timely manner, so bear with me. So with that, let's go ahead and get this ball rolling. So let me go grab the circuit, and I'll be right back. It's literally right behind me. This old girl needs clean too. Get the car out of the way. Actually, I'll set it up here. There's a couple things I want to do. I've got a whole tray full of random vinyl. So, start with the base. I want chrome. Transfer paper. High vis white. I need all my sponsor decals. I don't know if I'll need them, but just in case, I'll go ahead and pull those out since I've got this open. I'm not going to need a ton of this transfer paper, so let's go ahead and cut a small piece of this. So that's that. I want pink, if I have any. I typically buy my vinyls in 12 by 12 squares on Amazon. If you're curious, I typically buy them on Black Friday sales. So I'll buy them in a bunch of different sheet colors. I typically will use the random colors for masking for painting bodies. I can actually use that sheet. So I typically will design all my bodies using straight lines. I'll cut little like straight strips or squares out using the machine. It works really, really well, actually. So I'm pretty happy with that. Green, red. Do I not have pink? Blue, orange. Well, I'll be damned. Looks like I'm gonna have to order pink. I don't like that color. Like I keep looking at this, but I don't think I like this color. I'm looking for pink. And some of you may or may not know, so it is for breast cancer. So that's why I'm kind of partial on the color. So I thought I had some pink, but it does not look like I do. So I will have to order me some pink. Alrighty then. So that's one less thing I get to do today. No big deal. Pull the applicator out. Put the HTV away. It's cold in my garage, so you may hear a heater running in the background. I apologize in advance, but my comfort is somewhat of a priority because it's like 9 degrees outside today, and it's cold in my garage. According to my thermostat, it's 53 degrees, and that's with the heater running. So So first things first, identify how you want to do numbers. I'm going to do them like I always do, which is chrome on the back, and then I'm going to do high-vis white on top. I need to measure the size that I want to fit on here. That's always your first step on trying to figure out what you need. So grab your trusty tape measure. So I will set this down, measure. So if I go an inch and a half, inch and 3/4. Okay, let's see what this pulls up on the phone. So I'll pull up Cricut app because I already have most of these pre-made. Of course, I gotta update this. I don't use it enough, but it won't take that long. Go ahead and turn the machine on, get it opened up. Go to my stuff, my projects, and I will already have my numbers figured out. Gonna have to make these smaller because they're currently almost 4 inches. You may or may not be able to see this. So what I need to do is figure out again the size. I think I said 1 3/4 to 1.5 inches is the range for the width that I'm looking to fit through here. So if I go from this front edge all the way to the rear of the tank, you're talking 2.5 inches, which would be right here. But if I come a little bit off the tank, and there would be 2 inches, and I think that's going to be too big. That would be 1.5 inches. So that would be from there to about there would be 1.5 inches. So if I go with 1.5 inches, my next question is what becomes the height. So let me shrink these down a little bit. So if I go from there and I want to shrink said width, height, let's go with 7 inches wide. That's going to make it 1, 2, 3, 4. That's still way too big. Let's go with 5 inches wide. So if I go with that, that's going to make it a little over 2 inches wide. I still think it's going to be a little too big. Let's go with 4.5. Because if I make them too small, you're just not going to see them. So this is saying it's going to be close to 2 inches. You may or may not be able to read this because I can't share this, but this is how I do my images. Let's go ahead and make that on any 12x12 material. I want standard vinyl, and it's going to cut the silver first, so I need to find a piece of my silver or chrome in this case. Some people ask why I use chrome. I don't really have a right answer for that. I just like silvers. I like greens and silvers. Those are kind of like my favorite colors. So I've always ran them. I like the reflection. It's just different. There's no rhyme or reason. Like my way is not the right way type thing. It's what I enjoy doing. So this chrome has a clear film on top of it, so I do have to cut a little deeper than standard vinyl. So I go one step up, so it's between vinyl and iron-on, because it has an extra layer that standard vinyl does not have. That is something that is specific to this roll, and only this roll. I'm assuming they put that on there for a protective film. So now I'm trying to have this pair to my machine, connect. Now that I have it set up, everything's established. It's flashing to cut. So hit the button. And this is how I make most of my decals. So almost all of my bodies, this is paint. This is one of the few bodies that I did not paint this logo. So, for example, sprint car body. Notice, these two look almost the same. This was vinyl, this was paint. But this is painted with my vinyl template. So, this is typically... This one has reverse numbers. I wanted to try chrome with high-vis white, and I don't know if I like this or not. So I'm probably going to swap this back around to chrome on the back. And I also don't like the size of this 11. I think it's too big personally to fit. I don't like this right here. This is what I don't like. So it almost fits. I could move it back a little bit more to fill the side panel up. And it's kind of one of those, it's a catch-22. Come on, camera, focus. So, but these are the little nitpicky things about building cars that I don't want to say crazy on, but I feel like I go a little bit overboard. But I also enjoy building cars, but I also enjoy painting and stickering them and everything else. So to me, it's kind of that one extra step that a lot of people don't take. They'll just stick whatever they got. That's not me. So that is that. Now I need white. All of these came from Amazon. But I usually don't buy cheap vinyl. So I typically have a couple brands that I use for vinyl. I typically stay with Vivid Premium and the High Vis. The only company that I could find that makes High Vis white is actually 3M Reflective. Oh, you guys can't even read that. I think the white balance is blown way out. So that is 3M Reflective sheeting is what this is. This is really thick vinyl as well, like extremely thick compared to standard vinyls, that is. So, okay, so now both of these are done. Yep. I have a hard time wicking, which is pulling away the excess on the high vis because it's so thick. Like like I don't recommend using neither one of these if you're new to using vinyl. Like it is the worst materials to try to learn to making your own stickers. So that is that. I cut a pair of them. So let's go ahead and I will pull the machine out of the way. Set my sticker board out of the way. So let's start with the base layer first. Now what I will do is grab a pick or an X-Acto knife, something that has sharp points to them, but you don't want so sharp that you're going to break through them. This takes a skill set that you're just going to learn with dealing with vinyl. So start with the corner. I'll try to show you the cut. You can see that it's got these little triangles. These triangles are my reference points. So when I go to reapply these on top of each other, I line up these stars as my reference points. I know the chrome does not help you guys. I apologize, but bear with me. But those little triangles like to stick. So here is the plastic protective film layer over the chrome. Again, exclusively to the chrome. So if I start with the corner, start peeling it up, if I go too far, you're going to notice that triangle. You guys can't see shit. I don't know which one's blinding you. Is it this one? No. I think it's the one above me. Let me turn this guy off. I think that's better for you guys. So if I go to pull this off, it's going to pull up that first triangle sheet. So it doesn't stay down. You can try pushing on this all you want. They make apparatuses. You can push down on it, try to get rid of all the bubbles. And at the end of the day, it's still going to stick. Something to do with, again, just these materials. This is what I was talking about. The materials don't play well with each other. So that's where little objects like this come into play. Is I will pick a corner and I will hold it down and continue on and see it just moved. And that's where this gets more complicated, because I've done this enough that I can stack these without the triangles. Screw it. I'm just going to do it without it. But if you're new, those reference points are key to you having some reference to the project when you're talking about multiple layers. Why did this not cut right? Like this is bad. It's almost like it didn't go deep enough. And honestly, I don't think it did. It cut it, but it didn't cut it great. So it should not be this hard. It usually comes off pretty smooth. So either my blade on my machine is getting dull, which is a possibility because I've never replaced it. It's still the original, and I have cut a ton of vinyl with it, or I didn't set the depth deep enough on the machine. Could be either or, honestly. But take your time. I'm not in a hurry. Because this is where you can make or break your project really quick by getting in a hurry, ripping a corner, or destroying something because you got in a hurry instead of just taking your time. Like I just did there. Ripped that corner ever so slightly, which small enough you probably won't see it, but I know that I did it. Okay, so here's the two base layers. Almost. Got a little trimming left to do. Use the X-Acto knife. I'm using the back side of the blade to scoop the side here, scooping up underneath it to get it. Or I'll pick at it with the point on the end that I'm trying to get rid of. So that's that one. Let's get this one out of the way. And then I gotta get the middle out. The smaller you make your stickers, honestly, the harder they are to work with. Just the detail becomes a lot more difficult. I'm assuming that's an issue with the machine and the limitations on what it can do. When it comes to like the detail and everything else, like this is about as small as I would want to go with making, especially a 2-layered vinyl sticker, because I think it's more of the Cricut design program struggles with some of the detail. And I am not a professional at this, so don't hold me to the standards of like you're paying somebody $50 for a sticker sheet. Like my detail for this is nothing compared to what you would be paying for when it comes to that. So don't forget the top layer on both sheets, because I still have one on this side too. There we go. So there's both sheets of the backer. Now I got to do the same thing to the high vis white. You're going to see what I'm talking about on how thick this is. So poke down on the corner, and that's how easy these should come apart. And I found out that this high vis stuff is extremely, I don't call it fragile. It's almost like it's brittle. It's because it's thicker that it comes off like that. It breaks instead of folds and like sticks together like regular vinyl. Which goes back to what I said earlier. This is not the vinyl to start with if you are new trying to make any kind of sticker. It's fine for big stuff, like if you're trying to make street signs or you're trying to make like a no trespassing sign for your property or something, like what this material is truly designed to be used for, you're not going to make something this small. But if you're truly making big street signs and everything else, like what this is the same stuff like what you're driving down the road and it gets reflective from like your headlights and you can see street signs saying like exit 25, get off here. This is it. Like It's the same material. So it works really well at night. So I think I am the only one to run this material around my area anyway for outdoor racing or indoor racing. Indoor, you don't really see it, but at nighttime, my evening races, when the lights come on, this sucker shines like no other. Which is why I like using it as the primary main color on top of the chrome. The chrome gives it that reflectiveness during the day, and then this gives it the reflectiveness at night. So typically, I would put the transfer paper on here and line them up and put them on top of here. But because I lost my reference points, I can't do that. So I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, which is just doing it by eye, which is taking the top layer, lining it up. And since I designed this, I know roughly that the bottom lines up with the corner, which is somewhere about right there. So again, because I designed it, this corner here, the bottom tip almost touches that corner. And if I get that lined up, you can see just how well the rest of that lines up. And I don't have the reference points to do it. But again, I've done this enough that I know the tricks of doing, see, and that's what I was talking about. Gentle. And I just snapped it. Just touching it. And that's how brittle these like this vinyl is. Like it's crazy to me. I know, don't make any sense. So now let's do it this way. That was not intentional, by the way. So don't say it was. So I'm going to put it back on here. I was trying to not use transfer paper, but it's going to make me do it. Transfer paper is not cheap, by the way. Probably the most expensive thing is transfer paper. So put the transfer paper down. Take whatever, squeegee, whatever you got, credit card, fingers, push down. I try to go 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Do it a couple times. Pull it off. Sticks to your transfer paper. So there you go. So now I have 2 letters made, or numbers made, for my tail tank, which, by the way, got buried, I think. Uh-oh. Where did my tail tank go? Really? Okay. Let's move all the vinyl out of the way. 1, 2. There it is. I looked over there first. Didn't see it. Okay. So you could do numbers leaning forward, numbers leaning backwards. I don't know if there's truly a right way or a wrong way of doing this, but I'm going to go with there is a right way and there is a wrong way. So, kind of hard to explain. It's more of a preference thing than it is anything else. But imagine numbers leaning forward versus numbers leaning backwards. Forward, backwards. And the reason why they're 2 different directions is because if I put this one leaning backwards, then if I flip this over, this one needs to lean backwards. So if I put them where this side leans forward, and if I flip this over, now it leans forward. So they work in both direction. You just have to make sure that you know if you want them forward or if you want them backwards. The front of the car would be facing this way in this application. So I'm going to do it this way, facing this way. I am going to go with leaning forward, personally. There might be an actual like schematic. Like some people, I don't know. I don't really know. There might be a right and a wrong way to this because I don't really follow anything specific, and I think it's more car. I do it more car specific than anything else. So, for example, here's the buggy. The buggy leans backwards because it lines up with my lines. I actually put these a little too high, but I didn't want to redo them, so I left them alone. What else do I have that's got numbers on it? Oh, here's another car as an example. My road racing VTA. Because again, I run the same paint scheme on almost all my cars. If you notice, these are literally the same, basically the same paint scheme. Like, and I do that on purpose. So and the sprint car is kind of the new direction I'm going with this. The sprint car leans, it's leaning forward, but realistically it's 90 degrees to this. So wait a minute, is that forward? I'm going forward. So that's the direction we're going with the tail tank. We're going with forwards, guys. Going with forwards. So I want them to lean. I guess I'm going with forwards. So hardest part about this, you could put it on the car. You can eyeball it. You can figure it out. This is 100% preference. Some people like them low. Some people like them high. Some people like them towards the back. Some people want to give them... I go with what I think looks right. The hardest part about this is going to be figuring out what's truly level. So, and I'm honestly struggling with this part. So let's pull out the car, set it down. And again, so you're going to throw it on the car and you want to look at see how it sits. So we know that I want to try to make it level with the bumper brake, the bar, not the flatness of the tank down here. So if I tried setting this down and like that, like if I tried making this the table and set it flat and put the letters level to the bottom of this tank, then the letters are going to be crooked when it goes to sit on the car. So keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the transfer paper kind of as a template. I'm going to go with something about lining it up slightly above this notch as my reference point. For the top of the ones. There's not going to be a great way of doing this because the contour of the tank is going to be a pain in the butt. Let me trim down this transfer paper just a little bit. So if I throw that on there somewhere about right there and throw this back on the car, you notice that the one does not line up with the levelness of this bar. So let's try, and I'm going to move this down a little bit now that I have a good idea. So let's go on further down with it. Let's go about right there. So notice you can see the bottom of the line lines up almost perfectly just above the bumper. You can read the number 11, not too big, not too small. I'm perfectly fine with this. So now let's go ahead and work on getting this lined up. It's going to wrinkle because it's such a big piece and it contours. You can try to put some heat on it. I don't think it's going to do very, very well for me, but let's try it. And again, this is the downside to this thick material, and it's mainly the high-vis white that is becoming my problem. And then I will start and I'll push to the outsides. I don't have any bubbles in it. I'm just trying to get rid of creases, seams, any of that. So like I've got a really big crease right between these two ones, right in the middle. And honestly, I'm okay with it because you almost can't see it. I mean, you can if you're really close to it and you're looking for it. It's going to be right there somewhere. Like I can feel it. Heat also helps bond it. So as cold as it is, I'm going to throw some heat on it too. Put her on high. I'm not crazy close to it. Like my hand's getting hot already. That'll help soften it up. And it'll make it apply a little bit better. But it'll also help get rid of that crease. It'll bend and help contour around the curvature of the tank. And there you go. So that's one side of the tail tank done. We got to do the other side. Hardest part, symmetric. Just gotta do it. So we're gonna do the same thing. Piece transfer paper. Actually, I'm gonna try to reuse the same one as before. And because it's sitting at a different angle, it doesn't fully fit it, but I don't care about that. It needs to be a holder, basically. So flip the car over, put the tank on, slide this down so it gets to roughly lining up with the tank. Somewhere just above the tank. Somewhere about right there is what I'm looking for. I think that can go forward a little bit, but so for comparison reference points for you guys, tank is on. It looks, to me, it looks like the back is sticking up compared to the front. Let's check the other side. The other side looks like it's pretty flush. So I need to adjust the back end of this tank down a little bit. So pull this out, peel it off, Start over. Somewhere about right. It stuck to my finger. That looks pretty close. How does that look? Does that look close to you? I'm going with yes. Let me see if I can get a closer eye on that and look at it real fast. So that is slightly... That's definitely too high. It's level, but too high. Okay, I got to trim this corner off. It's getting in the way. Somewhere about right there. Looking at it from the back looks decent. I've got it almost touching the front. Almost touching the front. I'll go with a little bit farther forward. There we go. So I'm good with this position. Same thing as before. Start going out from the center out. And it doesn't want to stick. There's a contour to this tank right here, and that contour's fighting it. So let's go ahead. Hey, John. It has been, I mean, I've had a shit ton of stuff going on. Give me a minute, I'll explain. But yes, it does feel good to be back. Oop, a little too hot. Racing kind of got put on the back burners. Wife was diagnosed with breast cancer about a year ago. And I have been busy dealing with that. Work also got extremely chaotic for about, I don't know, 6-9 months with my job. Just basically everything fought me. So I am going to be releasing a video probably. I might try to getting one done tomorrow or two. This car and the sprint car and the bomber actually. So it's actually might be 3 videos long. But I did go racing last weekend and came home first place. Spoiler alert in sprint car and second place in this car. So I'll give you, since you're here, and I will give you a sneak peek of kind of what's going on. So, since now that I got the numbers done, numbers look good. I'm happy with these. Nice uniform. Looks solid. What did I do with my body clip? Okay. Seriously? Did I have a green one on it? I don't think I did. Well, that's what's going on now, though. Alrighty then. So yeah, I've been busy. This is a midget. Yeah, spoiler alert. Midget. I know. Great. No. This has a lot more meaning to me than anything else. So, to give you an idea of what a midget looks like, there you go. Just finished it. Basically, this one's fully wrapped. The only thing I'm missing that I want to do is I want to put a breast cancer logo somewhere like right here. In tribute to my wife. So, other than that, this car is basically done. This is a fully designed and built in-house. This is a prototype to RC Cincinnati's first production vehicles that we are planning to sell. This and the sprint car both. So let me grab it real fast since we're kind of on this tangent. So here's the sprint car, and there's the midget. So if you want to see what one looks up side by side, because everybody thinks all the midgets are all like the same size. They're not. Like, not even close. So tires are realistically going to be lined up about right. If I'm looking at shock tower to shock tower, lining them directly up, right about there is square when it comes to chassis transmission alignment. These are these are the first prototypes of RCC cars that are both a B6 conversion kit that I built. Both of these were built using a B6 builder's box, builder support kit. You can get one of these for $200. Comes with everything you need besides like rear A-arms and rear dog bones, I believe it was. So for $200 and the kit, you pretty much have an entire rolling sprint car and a bomber. I am the developer for our local racetrack for getting this class started, which is the bombers, or the midgets. Because we run in such a small track, we are required to run a 21.5 just stock ESE combo. They have them marked that we had to buy from the track because people think that everybody's cheating running just stock equipment. I'm not going down that tangent, but so we had to buy directly from them. The class is supposed to be running DE tires. I don't have them out here, but I have them. But there is a massive supply chain problem with DE and their rubbers, so they approved to also run Hoosiers, which is what is on it currently. This car in a 21.5 in this platform, exactly how you see it with this body on it, runs almost the same speeds, lap times as a bomber street stock on a 17.5. So that kind of gives you an idea of competition. But the difference is I think John took first and I took second in the midget, and we were both on the same lap when it was finally said and done. The cars, the midget is probably the best class I've ever raced. Like, hands down, it is get your elbows up and just drive your nuts off. Because it's almost wide open. It's not all the way, but again, I'm on a tiny bull ring course, so take that with a grain of salt. Again, every track's going to be different, but with my local track, we are doing the 21.5s. So I'm literally throwing it in almost full throttle, blipping and like off on. Like, that's how fast I'm going with throttle. And if you can't keep that car wound up, you are going to give up so much time it ain't even funny. But it forces you to pay attention to everything around you because it is open tire, so it's similar to the sprint cars. So you have to protect your tires and everything else. So if somebody gets inside you, you pretty much have to give them room or you're both going to wreck, like those kind of things. But it allows you to throw it in the corner. The car kind of just does one of these lazy, almost, I want to say it just falls on its right rear corner and just glides around the corner. But it really, like, that's the best way to word it. Like, this car just flat out works. Like, hands down works. We are in the process of trying to come up with a better way body wise for it, because I don't like having to take the body on and off every time I need to do anything to it. Like, just to charge it, I have to take the body off. A nice feature that we've done to it is it has a quick I'm calling it quick disconnect, is the chassis is slotted here on the sides, so you don't have to actually take the screws all the way out. So, for example, let me move the sprint car out of the way. I'll just throw it up here. Actually, stay. So to put the body on, literally just pops on the sides. Both are done. Rear, rear. Flip it over. Take your screwdriver. Screw the floor in. Done. It's that fast. So, benefits to this chassis. GFRP makes a midget. Not saying that it's bad. This is truly the first one of its kind, as far as I'm aware of, that is 100% built. If you look hard enough, you'll see what I'm talking about. Look at the center line of those shock towers. Look over here. See where my finger is over here? So right here and right here. This is the only midget that I know of that exists that is a B6 conversion that is also an offset chassis. This has been a prototype in the process for 7-8 months ish. We've gone through a couple different revisions, but all in all, I am super happy with how this car performs, how it looks, how it functions, everything about this car. Honestly, this thing is just flat out fun. So the sprint car is also, these two are getting released at the same time. The website is live. The chassis parts are on order, so they will be here soon. So I'm super happy about that, and we're going to get both of these guys going for some sales. So that's my goal, is to get some videos out on these guys soon, and I look forward to seeing what I can do with that. So sprint car, it's open, but I'm running 13.5. I don't really need. I've yet to come up with a need for any more motor. I may go to a 10.5. I don't know yet. I'm in the market for a 10.5, so if anybody has a good deal on one, wants to sell me one, donate one, I'm all for it. I probably could use the 10.5 because I feel like the 13.5 is just on the small side. So, and the nice thing with this, both of these cars, they're running the same parts, so you don't have to sit here and carry around 10 different spare parts for 3 different chassis. You don't have to buy GFRP or Custom Works or whatever. And like, I had the Custom Works sprint car, loved the way it drove, but it was very inconsistent for me because I don't like some of the things that it had. I don't like, for example, the standard hardware. So for me, just to carry spare parts for the Custom Works chassis, I had to run a tub of hardware that is standard. I had to buy a specific A-arms to carry for that. I had to buy specific C-hubs. I had to buy like everything. You're buying everything twice, basically, for 2 different cars. Like, it's dumb. So that was the idea around using basically the same components. The biggest difference between these is going to be, realistically, it's going to be shock tower positions and chassis plate. Honestly, the rest of it's the same. So if I break anything, if I break a shock, it's going to be the same for both. If I break an arm, they're the same for both. If I break a hinge pin, it's the same. Like, that's the nice thing about running the same parts for everything, is now it makes traveling easier for parts. I don't have to pack as much. I can unload and load faster. I don't have to, there's so many advantages around just running the same platforms for everything. I'm assuming the same thing applies for like GFRP. If you buy a GFRP like sprint car and you buy a GFRP midget and you buy a GFRP late model, a lot of their parts are going to be interchangeable. That's great, fantastic. Like I wanted something that was B6 based because everything I know when it comes to racing is truly based on my knowledge of buggy vehicles, and that's where I tend to try to focus around. That's why you don't see me race a whole lot of Mud Boss and you don't see me race a whole lot of Sportsman. I do it, yes, but I also struggle with those vehicles because they require a whole different animal mentality on how you physically drive them, but also how you have to set them up. I'm also not a fan of Mud Bosses because they teach you bad habits as a driver and bad habits on setups. That's my opinion. Again, take it for the grain of salt on how you will like it. I'm not saying that Mud Bosses are bad by any means, but that's just my preference and my opinion. So that's that. I do still have my Sportsman, just in case if you're curious. She's chilling up here. So I'll pull that down for you. As you see, it's got cobwebs and all, but body's still on it. I'm not pulling it off, but it is still set up. It is currently set up with a Tekin. I think it's a 3400, 3500 kV, and it's got. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know this had a Pro in it. Well, that might be coming out. Because I might need that for my sprint car. Good to know. I'm glad I looked at this. And I still have my Mud Boss, but that's probably going to end up going up for sale. So if you know anybody that might be interested in a Mud Boss, it's actually pretty quick. I got to fix the body on it, clean it up, reattach it because some of the screws fell off. But the car itself is fantastic. Motor, ESC runs great. It's got pretty much everything on it. It'll come with the Banditos because I will have no use for them at that point. But as you see, last time I drove it, it was shoving. Like, it was just plowing through mud. So that's just got to get cleaned up. And that'll probably end up for sale. If I had to bet, I'll probably take this to the barn and put it up for sale next time I go. If I get time to actually just sit down and clean it up, because like I said, I probably won't race it. That's about it with me. I would like to get a new camera soon. The old cameras, just it's outdated compared to standard like new technology. I'm still using a Nikon D3300, which I bought new when my son was born, so that would have been 8 years ago. It's mirrored digital SLR, but it only does 1080 and it only records 10-minute segments. So the 1080 I can deal with. I would like to get 4K camera. They're expensive, but I would like to like kind of get my game stepped up in the next world of modern recording technology is going with 4K. That's the future. So if I'm going to invest, I need to kind of truly invest in a good camera. But mirrorless cameras are so much more superior. Why is this not focused? Focus. There we go. Maybe. Okay, I guess that's as good as it's going to get. Mirrorless cameras are a lot more compact. They're smaller. Batteries last longer. But they do better job with like low light. They do better jobs with focusing quicker. Like that's my biggest problem that I struggle with a lot of my videos is I feel like they're never truly in focus. So what I mean by that is because I set up on one end of the track at the barn, and if I try to focus it to the center of the track, I feel like I don't really ever find a good focal point. Because then if by the time you get into turn 1 and 2, which is the far end of the track, it's out of focus. And then by the time the cars come around the front, the turn into turn 3 and 4, they look fuzzy because either the shutter speed's too slow, so it doesn't really make it look clear, or the light's too low, so then it kind of gets grainy, or I have it out of focus because I'm trying to get it to focus to the middle of the track to get the far end of the track and the front end. Like, I keep fighting basically settings. That's more of a me issue than it is a physical camera problem. But again, it's because I have not raced enough in the last year to like dial down my settings and get you guys what I feel like is great content. I've watched my last race video footage. I'm super happy with what I feel like I've gotten. It's still borderline out of focus, but I'm okay with it. I just need to sit down and kind of do a video. So if you guys have preferences or suggestions on how you want to see race video footages, let me know. I'm all for creative ideas on trying to make videos shorter, longer, whatever fits you guys, the viewers, the best. That's all I care about. This channel's about you guys. It ain't about me. So, and I think a lot of you understand that and also appreciate that I'm just a standard human being doing standard shit, basically, that you guys can relate to. That's my preference. I could be wrong, but what do I know? So, yeah. That's really about it for me. All I know is it is freezing in my garage. Man, it's cold. It is not conducive to working out here for long periods of time. My phone has been beeping at me. What is going on with it? Low humidity in my house. My clothes is clean in my washer. Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm still balancing. Man, this battery. Okay. Let's go on another random tangent. I am personally trying to get away from Trinity products. I'm just going to be blunt, and I'll get that out there. I don't really have a beef with them per se, but I also don't appreciate how the brand migration has happened, going from a privately owned company to Horizon, and what Horizon has done to the name, and then the whole slot machine issue with it getting caught for not being illegal or not being legal for Roar anymore. They got caught running a bigger stator inside their motors, and it basically caused a bunch of drama. So I'm sitting on a few batteries that are Trinity batteries, some of which are still good, some of which are not. So, prime example, both of these batteries are older than snot. This is a RevTech graphene. This is probably one of the first Trinity batteries I ever bought. And it is ballooned like a motherfucker. I don't know how much voltage is still left in it, but here's some like food for thoughts that I've started discovering down the road. So this says it is a 4200 milliamp battery pack. You may or may not be able to read that, but it'll be right underneath my index finger right there. Trust me, that says 4200. Since this cell has popped, or has exploded, it's not exploded, but you get the idea. It's puffed up real bad, and it's a fire hazard waiting to happen. You can read that. That does not say 4200. That says 4100. So my question is, why does this say 4200 if the battery cell is 4100? Which one's actually true? I don't know. I discovered this probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. This battery has been puffed and been sitting on my bench for well over a year now. I have 2 or 3 of these battery packs. I think I have 2. Both of them are puffed. This one's the bad one. The other one's puffed enough that I know it's puffed, but it's still sealed. But you can see like the case is starting to pop apart. I had these when I raced off-road. That's how old these are. This was my stadium truck off-road battery. Oh! Uh-oh. Whew. About had a lipo fire. Okay, this battery pack's going outside, boys. I'll be right back. Because this thing's got to get out of here. That's bad. I don't trust this thing anymore. Whew, that stinks. Ugh. Okay. Well, that battery pack is gone. So this battery is from when I raced CRC during COVID. So 2021, January 2021. So it is 3, 4. I bought it before the race, well before the race. So I'm gonna say I bought this in 2020. This has been my battery that I've been running in the sprint car. But back to the whole Trinity brand thing. I was warned probably, I don't know, 6 months prior to the merger that something was happening, and kind of made me reconsider like some sponsorships and stuff like that. I'm not racing to try to get deals. I just like supporting certain brands. Like Trinity has been around since I've been around racing RC cars, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy their products. Is they've been around forever, privately owned, whatever. They still make good stuff. I'm not saying anything bad about them when it comes to that. That's just my preference. Kind of made me rethink how I look at some companies, and what brought my attention was when I bought the sprint car, it had a Team Power Products motor in it. I was not the original owner of the motor, so I don't know the history of it. Because I know the original owner, he claims that he hardly ever ran it, and I don't know how hard he was on said I don't know how hard he was on the original motor, but I blew it up basically. I don't know. The second race I had it. The stator basically just shattered itself. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. I contacted the motor manufacturer. They're like, ship it back. We'll take a look at it. No big deal. So it destroyed basically the whole motor. It was bad. They got it back. He's like, okay, it'll be, I want to say it was like $45. I think is what I paid for it. He rebuilt it, sent it back to me. And by the time it came back to me, it looked like a brand new motor. Like, I'm pretty sure he rebuilt the entire thing for me. So, and I had it back in like a week. So I shipped it to him. He had it for like 2 or 3 days and shipped it back. I was extremely impressed with the level of customer service, the professionalism, but also the product. I'm not blaming him for the failure of the motor. I'm blaming some of it on me and some of it on the previous owner of that car. At that point, I don't know enough about modified motors to truly understand timing and boost and everything else on high turned motors. Like, I don't know. And I told him that on my email, and he was very acceptive to my lack of knowledge, explained to me some settings and where to keep it and what to look for. It's helped me a lot on the modified motors. I'm not a mod guy. I will be the first to tell you. Give me a stock motor all day long. I can make one run. I can make them run fast. I can make them run consistent. But I know nothing about modified motors, nothing about boost and timing. I understand the concept. I know what they do. My point is I just don't know how they translate into higher turn motors, how much timing they actually truly want, and how much timing can I push. I don't know where those limits are. Because I don't have enough experience racing them. So blew the motor up. He shipped it back, told me where to set it for timing. He's like, just leave it alone. You can add 10 degrees of boost or whatever if that's what you want to do. He's like, I don't suggest it, but you can. The motor will be fine. Keep an eye on this temp. And he's like, you should be okay. Not had a lick of a problem with that motor since. Come outdoor season, I think I needed a bigger motor. Looked on his webpage, found that he had a team used motor for sale for like $60. I want to say it was a 6 or 6.5 turn. I don't remember, but it's up there. I'm running a ginormous outdoor track. It needs all the motor you can pretty much push at it. He sent it to me. Get it out of the box. The thing looks brand new. What I mean by brand new is it didn't even have a solder mark on it. It was brand new. Fine. For $60, I'll buy every one of those in a heartbeat. My point, though, is it's a small company. They're hand-built. I think they're out of Tulsa somewhere out that way. I've ran 2 of their motors now, and I'm a fan. I'll keep supporting businesses like that any time, any place that I can. He does occasionally get batteries. Unfortunately, he did not have any in stock when I did my batteries orders. I have migrated to. Here's my other I still have 2 Trinity. Like I said, I still have Trinity batteries. So, I'm not completely getting rid of them. But here's my stick pack for the Sportsman. But I'm switching to red lines. Inexpensive. They're high voltage. They're lighter. A little bit smaller, not by much. Put a little bit. Weight matters. Also, one thing else to consider and something else to think about is how you store your lipos. I probably should be getting something else besides leaving them out exposed like I do. I think sitting down and putting them on a good charger, like I am right now, putting them in storage mode randomly, like every 3-6 months, get one out, hook it up. If you don't ever use it, just always make sure it's in storage mode. But also, the biggest thing, with the iChargers, is I put it on a slow mode for balancing, so it literally comes off as perfect as it can get it, and it could run for 3 hours trying to balance a battery to get that 0.001 to make it 100% balanced. I don't do the fast balance. I do it on my race charger, but not the home charger. I have a 406 Duo over here. I'm a huge iCharger fan, so that's that. So yeah, I'm becoming, I don't want to say brand whore, but I'm picking and choosing my battles. It's also why you haven't seen me really get an ESE motor sponsorship. I don't really. I like freelancing stuff. I I don't want to run just one product. So I have complaints with almost every motor company that's out there. They all have their quirks, but if I had to pick one, probably Phantom would be the one that I would be pushing if I was trying to do a mass production company out there. But I know R1 does pretty good products too. There's nothing wrong with Hobby Wing and their products either. I'm running a lot of their stuff on most oval already supports and already requires you to run Hobby Wing products. And I really enjoy the Hobby Wing Wi-Fi adapter. Even with the Just Stock ESCs, they are a game changer on changing a lot of stuff. Some people use the cards. The card hooking it up with the cable to the ESC is honestly probably faster. I just like the compactness. Again, this goes back to traveling with less stuff, less weight. So, other than that, I'm going to let you guys go. Y'all have a good one. Later, guys.